The film begins with a 23-year-old girl named Anora who works at a nightclub. To earn money, she fulfills the requests of the club's wealthy patrons. After her shift ends, she talks to her coworker about a strange customer. Her coworker shares her own experiences, and the two laugh together. Anora's manager, Jamie, suggests that she spend the night with a young Russian man named Fania, the son of one of Russia's wealthiest businessmen. Jamie sees this as an opportunity to make a lot of money. Anora agrees and meets Fania. Realizing that Anora speaks Russian fluently, Fania asks her about the skill, and she explains that she learned the language from her grandmother. They then spend the night together in a private room. After this night, Fania becomes interested in Anora and asks her to come to his house, promising to pay her any amount she desires. Anora agrees and goes to Fania's mansion. She is amazed by the grandeur of the palace. Fania talks about his life, revealing that he is 21 years old and the son of Nikolai Zakharov, one of Russia's wealthiest businessmen. Later, Anora researches Nikolai Zakharov online and discovers his vast wealth and fame. That night, Anora discusses this with her coworker. Her coworker advises her to maintain her relationship with Fania, as she could gain a lot of money from him. However, a jealous colleague harshly reminds Anora that she is ultimately just a prostitute and that Fania will likely leave her. Anora doesn't take these comments seriously, dismissing them as envy. The next day, Anora meets Fania again and spends the entire day with him. For the first time, she feels comfortable and realizes she wants to always be by Fania's side. Fania then asks her to attend a grand New Year's Eve party he is hosting. At first, Anora hesitates due to her busy work schedule, but after Fania insists, she agrees and gets permission to bring her friend along. On New Year's Eve, Anora and her friend arrive at Fania's party at the mansion. Her friend is also astonished by the grandeur of the palace. Fania welcomes them warmly, and everyone celebrates with dancing and joy. That night, as always, Anora stays with Fania. The next morning, as Anora prepares to leave for work, Fania asks her to stay with him. Anora explains that if she doesn't go to work, she might lose her job. Fania suggests she take a week off to spend time with him, offering her $15,000 in return. Anora agrees and informs her manager that she is taking a week off. After packing her things, Anora goes to meet Fania. During the week, they travel to different cities together, and Fania introduces Anora to new experiences and adventures. These moments make Anora incredibly happy, and she wishes the week would never end. It also becomes clear that Anora has fallen in love with Fania, as he is the only person who has respected her and truly valued her. At the end of the week, Anora tells Fania that she greatly enjoyed being with him and wishes to relive these adventures again. Fania explains that he has to return to Russia to take on his father's responsibilities, though he is reluctant to go back. Anora suggests finding a way for him to stay. Fania reveals that by marrying an American woman, he can remain in the US, and he decides to marry Anora. At first, Anora is hesitant, but Fania promises her that with this marriage, she will experience the most beautiful days of her life. In the end, Anora agrees, and they go to a church to get married. After the ceremony, they run joyfully through the streets, sharing the news of their marriage with others. They spend the entire night celebrating together. The next morning, Anora goes to her workplace and resigns. She informs her manager and co-workers that she has gotten married and her husband doesn't want her to work there anymore. Her co-workers bid her farewell with heartfelt emotions. Days pass, and Anora and Fania's married life is filled with happiness and joy. News of Fania's marriage to someone from such a different background reaches Karen, Fania's father's assistant. She is shocked by the news and begins investigating further, sending people to confirm the details with Fania. Meanwhile, Fania's family repeatedly tries to contact him, but he avoids their calls and ignores them. This situation causes anxiety for both Fania and Anora. In the next scene, several men sent by Fania's father arrive at their house and question Fania about the validity of his marriage. Fania confirms the marriage and shows them the marriage certificate. They take pictures of the document and send it to Karen. Upon seeing it, Karen becomes furious and calls Fania. She harshly scolds and insults him, asking how he could disgrace the family with such an action. Anora, overhearing Karen's words, cannot stay silent and angrily insults her, but Karen ignores her. Karen tells Fania that his family is in shock over this news and informs him that his parents will arrive in the US the next day to annul the marriage and take him back to Russia. Fania is stunned by this announcement and doesn't know how to face his family. His silence and fear leave Anora both surprised and upset. After Fania breaks her promise and runs away from home, she leaves Anora alone with the men in her family. Anora tries to escape, but Fania's father's men stop her. In her struggle, she hits one of the men, named Igor, and breaks his nose, but Igor restrains her and prevents her from moving. Karen arrives home and becomes furious upon seeing Anora in this situation. The men explain that Anora's violent behavior forced them to act this way. When Karen learns that Fania has run away, she becomes even angrier and scolds her men. She tries to contact Fania but receives no response. Then, she takes Anora's phone and tries to call Fania again, but to no avail, which makes Karen even more furious. Karen starts blaming Anora, accusing her of acting childish and ruining everything. Anora bravely responds that she loves Fania and their marriage is real. Karen accuses her of marrying Fania for his wealth. Angrily, Anora explains that it was Fania who proposed to her and, to prove his love, gifted her an expensive ring. She shows the ring, but Karen snatches it from her and mocks her. Karen tries to force Anora into a divorce through insults and accusations, but when she fails, they gag her to silence her. After some time, Karen calms down and offers Anora $100,000 in exchange for a divorce, promising no harm will come to her. With no other option, Anora reluctantly agrees to the proposal. Later, Karen, her men, and Anora set out to search for Fania. They first go to his favorite bakery, then to his favorite restaurant, but find no trace of him. Eventually, they head to a nightclub Fania frequently visits. In the nightclub, Karen uses a microphone to ask everyone to report if they have seen Fania, but still, no one has any information about him. After a long and exhausting search, Karen and her companions head to a restaurant for dinner. Meanwhile, Fania is having a good time in the nightclub where Anora used to work. He is completely drunk and unaware of the ongoing situation. Anora's friend, who still works at the same nightclub, sees Fania and messages Anora to inform her of his presence. Anora and her group quickly go to the nightclub and find Fania in a highly intoxicated state. Anora approaches him and, with concern, tells him that they are trying to force him into a divorce. Fania, too drunk to think clearly, is unable to make any decisions. Karen and her companions put him, along with Anora, into a car and head toward the New York courthouse. They wait outside the courthouse all night until the lawyer arrives in the morning. When the lawyer learns about Fania's situation, he warns that this could cause problems in court, but Karen assures him she can handle it. In court, the lawyer presents the case, but Anora interrupts him and tells the judge that she was forced into filing for divorce and is against it. She claims their marriage is legal and was conducted in Las Vegas. The lawyer, unaware of this, is shocked and explains to Karen that they need to go to Las Vegas to file for a divorce. Karen becomes upset and takes Fania out of the courthouse. They head to the airport to wait for Fania's family to arrive. They go to the airport to wait for Fania's family. When Fania's mother arrives, she scolds her. Anora steps in and introduces herself. Fania's mother, with contempt, says she is not pleased to meet a woman like her and holds Anora responsible for everything that has happened. The family then decides to take a private jet to Las Vegas to proceed with the divorce. Before the flight, Anora asks Fania to stop the divorce. Fania, indifferent, says that he can't go against his family and adds that 2 weeks of happiness with her is enough, and she shouldn't expect more. His words shock and break Anora's heart, and she realizes that Fania never had serious intentions from the start. Anora refuses to board the plane, but Fania's mother threatens her, saying that if she complains, she will ruin her entire life. Feeling helpless, Anora is forced to accept and flies to Las Vegas with them. After hours, they reach the Las Vegas courthouse and finalize the divorce proceedings. Before leaving the courthouse, Anora angrily insults Fania, calling him the most despicable man. Karen asks Anora to stay the night at the mansion to pack her belongings, and one of Karen's men, Igor, accompanies her. That night, Anora and Igor arrive at the mansion and stay up late. Igor's behavior and the way he looks at Anora show that he has feelings for her. The next morning, Igor drives Anora home. Before they say goodbye, Igor gives Anora her wedding ring, which he had taken from Karen, and tells her that she deserves the ring. This gesture deeply affects Anora, and she begins to cry. Igor hugs her to comfort her, and the film ends with this scene.